Hey, my name's Izzy, this is Rolling Virtual Cards. I'm coming at you with another Commander deck build. This time, Gorbag of Minas, Morgul, Noose Squad. Yeah, it's a person, it's a thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, Noose Squad. Yeah, Gorbag. Oh yeah. Yeah, if you know who Gorbag is, let me know down below. I don't know who Gorbag is, even the slightest. Not even the slightest. I'm interested though. So if you know who Gorbag of Minas Morgul is, please let me know down below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. Gorbag of Minas Morgul is one in a black for a 2/2 orc soldier. Whenever a goblin or orc you control deal combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, choose one, draw a card, or make a treasure. So yeah, you're running in and just it's a mission of utmost importance. You don't care if you die. Just hit them and go away, and then replace yourself with either another card or some treasure. That's the deck. Is it good? No. Gorbag's a terrible commander. I don't even think it's a good card. I honestly just don't think you should run this guy in any way, shape, or form at all as a commander or in the 99. Maybe the 99 could work, but probably not. It's not a good commander. You are trading your like 1-drop or 2-drop goblins and orcs to draw a card to get a treasure. So, what did the deck have to say about it? Face Vulture is one red or one black for one. Also, by the way, it is mono black. You don't even get red goblins. So 1 black for a 1/1 goblin warrior. For 1, you can sacrifice it, and it gets +2. You can sacrifice a goblin, and it gets +2/+2 to them. That's not why it's here. This card you can just replace itself. And then Face String Goblin is 1 generic for a 1/1 zombie goblin. When it dies, target creature gets -1/-1 to turn. And then Knucklebone Witch is 1 black for a 1/1 goblin shaman. Whenever a goblin you control is put into your graveyard from play, you put a 1 counter on Knucklebone Witch. So this is a good card in this deck because you're sacrificing all your goblins. Excuse me, so he can get big. And then Prickly Bogart is 1 black for a 1/1 with Goblin Warrior Rogue with Fear. So he'll make sure he's hitting that opponent. And then you've got Shambling Goblin, which is 1 black for a 1/1 zombie goblin. When it dies, target a creature and opponent controls get -1/-1 till turn. That's not awful, again, but they're not great. It's like slow. Now we're at the 2-drops. Battle Brawler is 1 in a black for a 2/2 orc warrior, and as long as you control a red or white permanent, it gets +1/+0 in first strike. That's not why it's here. You're just gonna throw them at someone to die. Earthblighter is 1 in a black for a 1/1 cleric, and for 1 in a black, you can tap it, sacrifice a goblin, destroy target land. So yeah, all these goblins, let's pop some land. Easterling Vanguard is 1 in a black for a 2/1 human warrior. Whenever it dies, you amass orcs 1. Frog Tozer Banneret is 1 and a black for a 1/1 goblin rogue, and with haste and goblin spells and rogue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, so it's making all these little goblins cheaper. Why is she here? Oh, because it has a mass army. So that's right, it has orcs in its name, which is fine. Amassing an army is fine, and there's easy ways for it to die. Goblin Turncoat is 1 in a black for a 2/1 Goblin Mercenary, and you can sacrifice a goblin to regenerate Goblin Turncoat. And then Grim Wanderer is 1 in a black for a 5/3 Goblin Warlock with Flash and Tragic Backstory. Cast a spell only if a creature died this turn. Pretty easy to cast. There's a lot of creatures dying. Orcish Bowmaster probably shouldn't be in this deck, but it is. Why? Because it fits. Let me have an orc that's cheap, that I can use the stuff with, and it's thematically fitting, even if it is gross. Okay? For 1 in the black, you get a 1/1 Orc Archer with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, and whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first card they draw a step, it deals 1 damage to any target, and you amass 1 orc. It even gets you the orcs that can die, because the armies that die can just you can keep making them. Protrude Goblin's 1 in a black for a 2/2 zombie goblin with Persist, so when it dies, it comes back, so you can kill this guy and then come back and then kill him again. Screak Ridge Exomer is 1 in a black for a 1/1 zombie spell shaper, and for 1 black you can tap it to discard a card and put a black 1/1 black zombie goblin creature token named Festering Goblin into the battle into play with when this card is put into graveyard, target creature gets -1/-1 till end. This just gives you like a creature that can constantly attack and trigger your commander. Splattering Goblin is 1 in a black for a 2/1 Phyrexian Goblin. When it dies, each creature gets target creature and opponent control gets -1/-1 the turn. Squeaking Pie Sneak is 1 in a black for a 2/2 Goblin Rogue, and whenever, as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may reveal a goblin from your hand or pay 3 fear. So it's a 2/2 for 2 with fear. Warding or Wireding Shaman is 1 in a black for a 2/1 Goblin Shaman. For 3 in a black, you can sacrifice a goblin and make 2 goblins. And then Ambuscade Shaman is 2 in a black for a 2/2 Orc Shaman. When it or another creature enters the battlefield you control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and you can dash it. 3 in a red. So it comes with haste, but then you return it to your hand at the end of turn. This is kind of a cool way if you can give stuff haste. Or if you have hasty boys to get them bigger. You don't have hasty boys. Angrith's Ambushers is 2 in a black for 2/3 Orc Pirate, and when it gets +2/+0 as long as you control Angrith Planeswalker. You don't. It's just a cheap orc. Anti-Snitch is 2 in a black for a 3/1 Goblin Rogue with that an Anti-Snitch can't block, but for Prowl 1 in a black you can cast it for its Prowl cost as long as a creature cost if you dealt damage to a player this turn with a Goblin or Rogue. And then for whatever a Goblin or Rogue you control does combat damage to a player, if Anti-Snitch is in your graveyard, you can return it to your hand. This is just one that you can keep playing to try to draw some cards. Or to get more treasures or draw cards off your commander. Bloodshin Fanatic is 1 and 2 black for a 3/3 Orc Warrior. With 1 in a black, you can sacrifice another warrior creature. Target player loses X life, and you gain X life where X is sacrifice creature's power. You do have some warriors in this deck, I think. Maybe. Bogart Harbinger is 2 in a black for a 2/1 Shaman Shaman. And when it comes into play, you may search the library for a goblin, reveal it, shuffle your library, and put it on top. So then Table Slaver is 2 in a black for a cleric. Whenever it deals combat damage to or whenever goblin you control deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card at random from his hand. Good synergies with your goblins. Dunland's Cribane is 2 in a black for a 1/1 Bird Horror with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you mass orcs 2. Again, amassing orcs is great because these little tokens can just attack and then die. Fathom Fleet Border is 2 in a black for a 3/3 Orc Pirate, and whenever it enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life unless you control another pirate. That don't matter. Lose the life. Grima Wormtongue is 2 in a black for a 1/4 Human Advisor. Your opponents can't gain life, and you can sacrifice from the creature. Target player loses life. If the sacrificed creature was legendary, mass orcs 2. So you're running a handful of legendaries, I think, in this deck, like randomly. So you can mass orcs with it, but otherwise you can just make people lose life slowly. Mad Auntie is 2 in a black for a 2/2 Goblin Shaman. Other goblins you control get +1/+1, and you can tap it to regenerate another target zombie or another target goblin. Goblin. Merciless Executioner is 2 in a black for a 3/1 Orc Warrior. When it enters, each player sacrifices a creature. Mordor Trebuchet is 2 in a black for a 1/4 wall with Defender, and whenever you attack with 1 or more goblins and or orcs, create a 2/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with flying named Ballistic Boulder. That's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. That's fine. It's just a boulder flying with it, which is kind of cool. Pitless Horde is 2 in a black for a 5/3 at the beginning of your Orc Berserker, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life, but for dash, 2 in a black. So you can get this guy out and just swing in quickly, or you can just keep a 5/3 out there, which is pretty nice. Rune Raider is 2 in a black for a 3/2 Orc Pirate with Raid. So at the beginning of your end step, if you attack with a creature this turn, reveal the top card of your library, put that card in your hand, you lose life equal to the card's converted mana cost. Ruthless Knave is 2 in a black for a 3/2 Orc Pirate, and for 2 in a black, you can sacrifice a creature and make 2 treasure tokens. And you can sacrifice 3 treasure tokens to draw a card. Urkhai Berserker is 2 in a black for a 3/2 I is Orc Berserker. Whenever Urukai Berserker enters the battlefield, the ring tempts you. I'm fine with the ring tempting. I think it's okay. Wart-Eye Witch is 2 in the black for a 3/2 Goblin Shaman. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, you scry once. This is just a way to scry off your orcs and goblins dying. Alicia's Vanguard is 3 in a black for a 3/3 Orc Warrior with dash. So the thing is with dash, you can just get them out, hit people, and then get rid of them. Bellowing Sandal Brute is a Saddle Brute is 3 in a black for a 4/5 Orc Warrior with raid. If it enters the battlefield, you lose 4 life unless you attack with the creature this turn. And Black Cleave Goblin is 3 in a black for a 2/1 Goblin Zombie with haste and infect. It's just another goblin. There's not a lot. Here's the thing. There's not a lot of goblins and orcs in mono black. They're in Mardu colors or Rakdos colors. So you use what you can, guys. Okay. Boggart Mob is 3 in a red or 3 in a black for a 5/5 Goblin Warrior with Goblin Champion. So this creature comes into play, sacrifice it unless you sacrifice a goblin. When this leaves play, return the card. Unless you remove another goblin you control from the game, so exile it. And when this card leaves, you return that card to play. When a goblin you control deals combat damage to a player, you may put a 1/1 black goblin war creature token onto play. This is great because this just keeps giving you fodder. All the goblins keep attacking, they keep dying, and you keep making more goblins. Raucous Party Leader is 3 in a black for a 2/4 legendary creature orc. And it is Barocus Party Leader is also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. And whenever it attacks, defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens for X to the number of creatures in your party. Choose background. Don't worry about the background part. But being able to just know that you're able to just make them lose at least 1 life. But you got a lot of warriors. You've got a lot of rogues and stuff, so you'll have a little bit more, and that's going to give them some damage and give you some treasure tokens. Gothmog Morgul Lieutenant is 3 in a black for a 3/3 human soldier with when it enters a mass orcs 1 creature tokens you control have death touch. You're going to see these bad commanders. This is a bad commander, and this is another bad commander, but he's in the deck because he amasses orcs when he TPs. Hornet Harasser is 2 and 2 black for a 2/2 Goblin Shaman. When it enters, or when it's put in the graveyard, target creature gets -2/-2 till end of turn. Marsh Flitter is 3 and a black for a 1/1 Fairy Rogue, and when it enters, you create 2 1/1 black Goblin creature tokens, and you can sacrifice a Goblin, and it has a base. You make it a 3/3. So, yeah, don't sacrifice the Goblins, just get them. Murek Nightblade is 3 and a black for a 2/3 Orc Assassin with Outlast, and each creature you control with the 1/1 counter on it has Death Touch. You're not putting 1/1 counter. You can Outlast it once at sorcery speed, and then Orc Sure Shot is 3 and a black for a 4/2 Orc Archer, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, target creature no opponent controls gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Sling Gang Lieutenant is 3 and a black for a 1/1 Goblin, and when it enters, you make 2 1/1 red Goblin creature tokens, and you can sacrifice a Goblin. The target player loses a life and you gain. And Squeaking Pie Grumble Fellows is 3 and a black for a 3/2 Goblin Shaman with Kinship, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it shares creature type with Squeaky Pie Grumfellows, you may reveal it. If you do, each opponent discards a card. So you don't get to add it to your hand, but as long as you show off one of your multiple goblins, you'll be able to make people discard a card. Stink Drinker Bandit is 3 and a black for a 2/1 Goblin Rogue with Prowl for 1 and a black. So that again, as long as a Goblin or Rogue deal combat this turn, combat damage this turn, you can cast it for 1 and a black. And whenever a Rogue you control attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +2/+1 to it. Crasher Brute is 3 and a black for a 4/3 Orc Warrior, and whenever it or another warrior enters the battlefield under your team's control, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. The whole point here is just to again slowly damage your opponents to death. And then next up we've got Sirith Ungol Patrol, which is 4 and a black for a 4/5 Orc Soldier, and for 1 you can tap it and sacrifice another creature, draw a card, and then create a food token. That's fine. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Direfleet Ravager is 3 and 2 black for a 4/4 Orc Pirate Wizard, and when with Minas and Death Touch, and when it enters, each player loses third life for rounded up. And then Airwig Squad is 3 and 2 black for a 5/3 Goblin War Rogue with Prowl for 2 and a black. And when it enters the battlefield, if its Prowl cost was paid, search your target opponent's library for 3 cards, exile them, and put them. And then that player shuffles the library. This is a way to just literally make someone not be able to win the game, which is kind of rude. Gruesome Scourger is 3 and 2 black for a 3/3 Orc Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target opponent or Planeswalker equal to the number of creatures you control. So, good way to just deal damage to your opponents. Crummer Bondkin is 3 and 2 black for a 5/3 Orc Warrior with Morph for 4 and a black, so you can cast it for 3 generic and then flip it. Which is fine. For one less black, it's still 5. Vengeful War Chief is 4 and a black for a 4/4 Orc Warrior, and whenever you lose life, for the first time each turn, put a 1/1 counter on it. And then Warren Pilferers is 4 and a black for a 3/3 Goblin Rogue, and whenever Warren Pilferers comes into play, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If that card is a Goblin card, it gains haste until turn. Warren, yeah, and so if you can notice, I run a lot of creatures, and all the creatures are Goblins or Orcs, or some form of helpfulness for that. And that's just kind of the point of the deck, churn them. But what are we doing with the churning? Well, Boggart Birthright is 1 black for a Travel Sorcerer Goblin. Return target Goblin card from your graveyard to your hand. Mortar Muster is 1 and a black for a sorcery. Draw a card, then lose a life, and then you can amass Orcs 1. Warren Warding is 1 and a black for a Travel Sorcery Goblin, and it, target player sacrifices a creature. If a Goblin is sacrificed this way, that player puts 2 1/1 black Goblin Rogue creature tokens out of the battlefield, and those tokens gains haste tokens. So you can sacrifice one of your guys for 2. Or just remove a problematic card your opponent controls. Well, possibly. And then the Torment of Golem is 3 and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose an all-in card from it, that player discards a card, and then you mass Orcs 2. And then for instances, you got Orcish Medicine, which is 1 and a black for an instant. And target creature gains your choice of lifelink or indestructible until end of turn, and then you amass Orcs 1. And then you're running 3 artifacts. Soul Ring, which is 1 generic for an artifact that taps for 2. Arcane Signet, which is 2 generic for an artifact that taps for your color identity. And Pyre of Heroes, which is 2 generic for an artifact that you can pay 2. Sacrifice a creature and search your library for a creature card that shares a creature type with the sacrificed creature. And converted mana cost is and has converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the creature's converted mana cost, and put the card in the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast it. This just allows you to get your bigger guys out easier. And then 1 enchantment, which is this nice little, hard to see, there we go. A March from the Black Gate, which is 1 in a black for an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, and whenever an army you control attacks you, mass Orcs 1. And then you're running freaking 34 swamps and 1 Baradu, which is legendary land. It enters the battlefield tap and lets you control a legendary creature. It taps for a black, or you can pay 2x in a black to tap it and amass Orcs. X. Activate only if a creature died this turn. So this deck is, again, not good. Could it be good? No. No. Stop thinking that this deck could ever be a good deck. This is a terrible commander. Like a lot of these other Lord of the Rings decks, when you have so many guys, you just end up with really bad commanders. Here's the thing. Final Fantasy did the same thing, but all their bad commanders, for the most part, are good. A lot of their bad commanders are like, oh yeah, I mean, like, this isn't a good commander, but like, at least it's like another Voltron commander that can do something. Okay, there are so few bad commanders in the Final Fantasy set. Go check out my 2-part podcasts where I talk about the where they all fall in a tier list. But the fact of the matter is this is just bad. Whenever a goblin or orc you control deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, choose 1. Draw a card, create a treasure weapon. That's fine. It's okay. It's kind of cool. You just don't have enough. There's not enough goblins or orcs that have ways to revive themselves. If there were, then you could run like a little engine where the creatures revive themselves and attack, and then revive themselves and then attack. And you do this cool engine thing. That's not what you have here. You don't have enough of that type of stuff in goblins and orcs and mono black. So what you end up doing is you just run a lot of goblins and hope they can replace themselves. You might think, aren't there other like enchantments and artifacts that can return creatures from graveyards? Yes. And or to hand, that true. But it's not worth the one treasure or the one draw. So if you wanted to change anything up about this deck, drop some of the more expensive creatures and run some more recursion. That's all I would say. But your commander's not doing enough. I know it says draw and treasure, so you might think that's good, and it is, but not at this cost. Again, if this was Rakdos, if this was like instead of a colorless and a black, this was red-black, this would be a good commander. There are a lot of red cards that burn your opponent when creatures ETB. There are so many ways in red and red-black, like in red specifically, like you can just amass a lot of goblins, and then those tokens hit and die. You don't have that amassing ability in mono black, and without it, you kind of fail. Gorbag is great in a Rakdos goblin deck, where you're just like, here's all my awesome goblins that I'm making, and they're all tokens, and you just swing them out and they die because you just need them to deal like 1 damage. And you're running black cards like whenever a creature dies, each player loses life. Whenever you make a creature, people take damage, and you just do that. But in mono black, you can't do it. It's just, it falls flat. It's a falling flat commander for a person I don't know nothing about. So again, if you do know him, go ahead and subscribe and let me know exactly the deep lore that Gorbag of Minas Morgul has. Peace.